Hey everybody, it's Christine up today with a new episode of Scrapbooking from Boys to Men with the letter C today. And I am also continuing my Scrapbook Sketches 101, almost done for the month, but got a little more to share with you. Today I'm going to be using the page kit from the Flavors of the Month kit from the Scrap Room. It's Simple Stories Vintage Great Escape Collection. And I'm also going to add in some of my own Simple Stories stash to stretch it a little bit further and make it work for me today. I am going to be focusing on my son, whose name starts with a C, Cooper, and so that is my choice for the letter C. One of these days, the letter will actually be a product or a technique or something, but as it is, I have a husband with a B and a son with a C. So here we are, the letter C, Cooper, and I am using some pictures from last fall when we took a trip to the Adirondacks, and they are a perfect match for the colors of the Vintage Great Escape collection. Now, vintage is not generally my jam. However, Simple Stories is my jam. And so I always love to play with these just to stretch myself a little bit. You'll see the color palette is a lot softer than is normal for me. And you'll also see that I really get still not a super vintage feel going. So with the sketch, I have several layers of patterned paper, both a big horizontal layer and a big vertical layer. But I did start things off by using that diagonal striped paper to create just one big diagonal stripe down the back. And that automatically lends itself to having a graphic feel on the layout right from the get-go. Now I'm going to use this, I don't even know what color to call this one that I'm cutting right now. It's kind of beige, but it's definitely got a tinge of green to it. So it's not like your traditional beige or khaki color. It's got an interesting shade to it. And so I'm going to really use that in a big way right in the middle of my layout. But I'm also going to tuck this wood grain paper behind it, and I'm going to make use of those fireflies that you can see very lightly on the paper there. I'm going to use those within my creating. Now, the way I'm going to go about using those is I'm going to take a craft knife and I'm going to cut out the outer wings as well as their body, because I want that part to tuck over that beige patterned paper. So these are going to be the horizontal patterned paper that falls behind my top layer with that beige, and I will just tuck them right behind. So you can see right now I'm just using a craft knife, real quick and simple process to just trim out half of the wings and the body. Now you can see those tucked right over and under both parts over that beige paper, and then my pictures are going to fit in there really nicely too. So I'm going to just start to put this whole picture cluster together here and get it onto the layout. Now you can see these have really strong earth tones going for them. Very few bright colors beyond, like there's some oranges in this, but even the orange is very earthy. Nothing that really like jumps out and over dominates, and so that's a really cool feature of this collection. Now at this point, everything you're seeing is in the Flavors of the Month kit. Really, I don't get away from the Flavors of the Month kit until the very end. Now you can see what a nice touch and different touch just having those fireflies on the outside borders adds to this layout, and what a different touch it makes for this sketch. I've got one picture that is a closer up of my son and he's in the whole picture, and then this other one is offset. So I'm going to actually tuck the full picture over the top one and cover up some of that white space on the other one. I am also going to take some 3D foam squares and pop up the wings on those fireflies and secure them so they don't get caught when I'm putting them into a page protector or anything like that. Next up, I want to add the stripe that goes across the layout horizontally, and so I just dug into my cardstock stash and found a green that matched well with the diagonal stripe patterned paper that I have going in the background already. So I'm going to pull that all the way across, tucking it underneath my bigger photo, but then working it across the patterned papers for the rest of it. Now, unfortunately, my camera didn't record this next part, so I'm going to just point some things out to you. I used a combination of ephemera from the page kit and some stickers, all for my clusters as well as my title. And you can see I've got ferns in there and fireflies. And I have worked those in a triangular shape surrounding my picture. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to change out the background. Now, right now, what you're seeing is a very clean, simple graphic layout. I wanted to play up the vintage feel just a little bit more, but didn't have the right papers for it within the page kit. But since I'm on the Simple Stories design team, I have this collection. So I decided I would go ahead and switch out that off-white cardstock for another patterned paper. So what you're seeing right now is me playing with which one of those that I pulled out of my stash I liked best. And you can see a couple of them will work, but in the end, I really kind of like this map one. It still has that same color that I was already working with, but it's got the map print all over it and just adds to the background and gives it a little more of a vintage feel like I was going for. So I'm going to just take that whole piece of the layout off, and basically all I did was just take off the bottom layer. It was all stuck together otherwise, and I'm going to secure it onto there, and you can see that really raises the level of the layout as a whole, just makes it a little more interesting. Nothing wrong with the old one. It was a good, clean and simple layout for sure, and I definitely could have stopped there, but I wanted to add a little interest, and I was able to achieve that by adding this map background. So thank you so much for being here today. Be sure to visit Susanna's channel and see what she's got going with the letter C in her Scrapbooking Boys to Men layout, and we will see you again next time.